What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some football, Houston Texans football. Now, after that incredible performance that CJ put on display Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he got people around here talking about playoffs. Playoffs? Playoffs? A real possible playoff push? We're going to talk about, we're going to break it down before we get in there. Like I'm telling you before, man, if you're liking the content, make sure you're liking the channel. Make sure you're watching all the videos, you comment on all the videos, you liking all the videos, you sharing all the videos on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, any type of social media platform you use. Make sure you share on the same social media platforms. Also, follow me on social media as well. The link in the description below. We still in the race to get to 6,000 subscribers. You know what that means. I need you to tell a friend, so they can tell some friends, they can tell some more friends, and put them on game with the channel. Make sure they like the channel, they subscribe to the channel, they share the channel, and they get this channel growing and growing and growing. I really, really appreciate that. Now, like I said, after an incredible record-setting performance that CJ put up on display on Sunday, we all know the numbers. Everybody knows the numbers. 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, 71 completion percentage, and no interceptions. Just an absolute balling effort after going with a game-winning drive, awarding him the AFC Player of the Week, putting the Texans at 4-4. It has people around here possibly talking about, hey, are the Texans in line for a possible playoff push? So we're going to talk about that. We're really going to sit really and break this down because it's really not as crazy as some people might think. And again, this is the upcoming schedule for the Houston Texans. Now, we all know we go on the road to Cincinnati Bengals this coming up week, and then followed by 3 straight home games. Home against the Arizona Cardinals, home against the division opponent Jacksonville Jaguars, then home against the Denver Broncos. Then we go back on the road for 2 straight weeks, going against the New York Jets, and then at the Tennessee Titans, to coming back home for another 2-game home stretch against the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans. And we finish the season off at Indianapolis against the Indianapolis Colts. So that's the schedule for the Houston Texans coming up. And what's so viable about that? Because the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Buffalo Bills on Sunday and put them in a situation to have them as the last wildcard spot. If the Texans beat the Cincinnati Bengals, they'll both have the same record. They'll both be 5-4. The Texans will have the tiebreaker over the Cincinnati Bengals because they have the head-to-head, and then the other teams in that situation, like the Buffalo Bills and the Jets and also the Chargers, the Texans have a better conference record than all of them. Buffalo has not lost to an NFC team, so all 4 of their losses come against AFC opponents. I think the Jets have only lost 1 NFC game, and I think same thing with the Chargers. They only lost 1 NFC game. When the Texans, we lost to the Atlanta Falcons, and we also lost to the Carolina Panthers. The other 2 losses were against the Baltimore Ravens and the Indianapolis Colts. So we have a better conference record than everybody else going forward, especially if we beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Not to mention, we've already beaten the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Jacksonville, they go into next week going up against the 49ers, and the 49ers have lost 3 straight games. I don't expect the 49ers to lose a 4th straight game. So we're talking about if they possibly lose that game against the 49ers, which more than likely would happen, and the Texans happen to beat the Cincinnati Bengals, we'll be going, as long as we take care of our business against the Arizona Cardinals, we'll be going into that game in late November, home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the potential to actually take over the division. We've already beaten them already, so we'll have the season. If we win, we will have the season sweep against them, and we'll be in a prime position to take over the division. And that might be a game that could potentially be flexed. The Sunday Night Football game that week will be the Chargers and the Ravens. I can see them still sticking with the Chargers and the Ravens because, I mean, the Chargers are having an okay season. I think they're 4-4, if I'm not mistaken. The Baltimore Ravens, they're one of the better teams in football. But the Texans have yet to get on prime time. CJ's getting a lot of love and getting a lot of exposure for the past couple weeks actually, but especially this week after having that performance he had against the Cincinnati Bengals. So we could really potentially possibly see them wanting to get, because the Texans really got a disservice. CJ got a disservice, mind you, not really the Texans, but CJ himself really got a disservice by them not able to put him in a primetime game. But then they gave Bryce and the Carolina Panthers, I think they gave them 2 primetime games, if I'm not mistaken. So, because I know they played against the Chicago Bears on Thursday night tonight. So So we not seeing CJ on the prime time. I think they probably want to see CJ on the prime time game, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm pretty sure that's what they want to do. So I wouldn't be surprised if that game gets flexed, especially if the Houston Texans go out there and beat the Cincinnati Bengals, because normally they give it like a 2 week period. And knowing that the Texans have already beaten the Jacksonville Jaguars, they always want to crown Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a game that they definitely want to flex. Now, I definitely want a game to get flexed that's at NRG, so the city can come out there and really show what's up. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Jacksonville Jaguar game is the Battle Red game. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the full Battle Red game. So we might see, if that game gets flexed, we can see the Battle Red unis, the Battle Red jerseys on Sunday night production, just with all the bells and whistles that the Sunday night crew puts on the show when they do their show. So hopefully that could be a game to be flexed. Another game that could potentially be flexed would be the Cleveland Brown game, because that Sunday night game is the Giants and the Eagles. The Giants are not a good football team. The Eagles are one of the best teams in football, probably the best team in football as it stands right now. And Cleveland, even with and without that quarterback number 4, Deshaun Watson, playing, they've been keeping their head above foot because they have a real good defense over there. I think they have the league's best defense by defensive metric standards. I think they have the number 1 defense from a defensive metric standing. So that would be a possible game. But then again, you have the former Texan quarterback in Deshaun Watson versus C.J. Stroud. So I can see that game having some intrigue as well. Had Deshaun coming back to Houston like how he came last year. And they tried to sweep that one under the rug. Maybe this one could be a little bit more, because they did give the Cleveland Browns some primetime games with Deshaun Watson this season. So who knows? Maybe they try to sweep. Maybe it's something, that we all know about the allegation situation. They'll probably try to sweep that under the rug. I don't really want to talk about that too much. But him wanting to leave Houston, that got a little juice to it. That got a little, you know what I'm saying? Okay, maybe we can market that a little bit, so who all knows. So those are probably the 2 games to get flexed. Again, the last game of the season against the Colts, if that's a winner-take-all game, or if that game is for division, things like that. That's why the last games of the season, they never have those games scheduled with times and stuff like that, because they keep the last week of the season completely flexed open to make the primetime games however the season builds up. So who knows about that Colts game, but I'm thinking that Jazz game in a couple weeks, and then in next month in December, the Cleveland Brown game, another game that could potentially be out there to possibly be a primetime game. So those could be the primetime methods. But besides that, get the Texans on primetime, the best way to get them on primetime is to get them inside the playoffs. And we're not going to talk about who's better. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals, they're dealing with some injuries. Who knows? Jamar Chase might not play. I think T. Higgins missed some practice. It seems like Stingley's came back to practice, so who knows? Stingley might be able to be a goal for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think it's going to be a tall task. I'm not going to put up there and say we're going to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. It's going to be a tall task. But if you beat the Cincinnati Bengals, that game, one, I think people in general will be like, okay, the Texans are good, are a real football team. You're going to have people from a national standpoint, because they're already hopping on the CJ Stroud train. They're already starting to hop on the DeMeco Ryans train about him being coach of the year. I'm hearing this out here. DeMeco Ryans potential coach of the year, having a good coach. The Texans have the future's bright. They keep saying the future's bright in Houston. But if you go out there and you beat the Cincinnati Bengals, they're no longer saying the future's bright. They're talking about today. They're not talking about the future anymore. They're talking about today. If you go out there and you beat the Cincinnati Bengals, they're going to be talking about that. They're not talking about the future a year, 2 or 3 years from now. They're not going to be talking about that. They're going to be talking about today. They're going to be talking about today, right now. The future is right here, right now when it comes to Houston Texans. If you go out there and you put up a performance and beat the Cincinnati Bengals, or at the very least, if you put up a good effort against them, because even if you lose the game, you still have stuff in front of you to at the very least get to the division, because you've already beaten the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel like Jacksonville is going to lose against the 49ers. But if you beat the Bengals and you beat the Cardinals, and the Jacksonville Jaguars lose against the 49ers, no matter what happens in the other game, they lose against the 49ers, that makes them 6-3. That makes you 5-4. You beat Arizona, that makes you 6-4. They beat whoever, I don't even know who they play after the 49ers, but they beat whoever it is. If they beat them, that puts them at 7-3. They're 7-3. You're 6-4. You beat Jacksonville. You're both 7-4, and you swept Jacksonville. You own the tiebreaker. You eliminate all room of error, because now they have to have a better record than you. And as it stands, y'all will have the same record. which means you'll be leading the division. And everything is in front of you because you have to face the Titans twice, and you still got the Colts at home. Now again, you have to beat the Colts because they've already beaten you, so they already own the tiebreaker on you. On the best thing you can do is tie that up and make sure it's tied up. But you'll be putting yourself completely in the driver's seat. You'll be putting yourself completely in the driver's seat. So that's exactly how crucial now the Cincinnati Bengals game has turned out to be. Because it doesn't matter anymore. You beat the Cincinnati Bengals, the perception around the league and the worldwide is the Texans are ready for prime time. The Texans are ready for playoff football. The Texans are here. We ain't no more the future's bright. The future's right now. They are ready. CJ Stroud, no matter he's a rookie, he's ready. And now you're talking about putting him in the MVP conversation because that's what people are talking about right now. People are starting to put up, okay, man, he got rookie of the year. That's already locked up. We got that. Is he really ready to be the MVP as a rookie? Nah, he's just a rookie. He's just a rookie. He's just a rookie. Nah, he's just a rookie. Nah, he's just a rookie. You go out there and beat the Cincinnati Bengals, especially because Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are starting to look like the Cincinnati Bengals, especially after I seen what they did on Buffalo on Sunday night. Man, you start doing that. Now you're really making some real noise. Because now we're not just talking about the play. Like I said, you beat the Cincinnati Bengals, you automatically put yourself in that last wild card spot because of tiebreakers and things like that. But we're not even worried about that no more. That's not even what we want no more. That's not what we're talking about no more. What we're talking about going forward is possibly winning the division. That's what we're talking about. Once you do that, we're talking about the division because the division is right there in front of you. You beat Jacksonville. You had the same record as Jacksonville, and you swept them. So this playoff push is for real right now. This playoff push is starting to get real right now. This playoff push is starting to get real right now. It really is. It's starting to get real right now. But you have to take care of business. Don't let it get twisted. You have to take care of your business. And your business starts against the Cincinnati Bengals Sunday. You got to take care of that. Now, even if you lose that game, everything is still in front of you to possibly make the division and win the division and make the playoffs and things like that. But you beat the Bengals, the perception starts drastically start changing. So we want to see a different football team. We don't want to be the same old Texans. It actually started last week. It started against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with 46 seconds left. Texas ain't laid down. We went out there and seen a masterpiece on that last drive. That's when it started changing to being the same old Texans. And like CJ said, hey, we need some more y'all in the crowd, man. We don't need to be leaving at halftime no more. Those days need to be done. We don't need to be leaving at halftime no more. We need to be staying throughout the whole game and cheering this team on because number seven know what he's doing. And he's at him with D'Amico. They're starting to change how we Texans fans feel about the same old Texans. It started last week on that last drive against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It needs to finish up. Well, not finish up, but it needs to continue against the Cincinnati Bengals. And if it does that, hey, we talking about a whole new ball game right now. Like, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't, click that bell, get more videos. I holla.